and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. In this video we're going to be starting a brand new series, and we're going to be painting a cat in a jack-o'-lantern, and I'm going to be doing this for Inktober. And if you don't know what Inktober is, Inktober was started by Jake Parker, and basically what it is you draw an ink drawing every day in October. That's the full challenge. You can take the partial challenge if you want to, which is to draw a painting every other day or a painting once a week. And I'm doing the once a week painting because I really don't have time to do an ink drawing every day. So if you want to use traditional materials, you can get out your watercolor paints and your watercolor brushes, and you can use any kind of pen that you want. Now, if you're going to add the watercolor on top of the ink, then you probably want a waterproof pen. But if you're just going to go ahead and use the ink on the end of it, then you can go ahead and use any brand of ink that you want. The app that I'm going to be using is ArtRage for Android, and I'm going to be trying this one out. I haven't used this one a lot with the watercolor brushes. Now, I have used ArtRage 5 with watercolor brushes, but I haven't used it a whole lot on my Android devices. So here I'm just trying to make a little bit of a rough sketch to get an idea of where I want to put things. And looking back on this, I probably should have made a really detailed sketch. Usually when I'm working with acrylics, I don't bother, but for here, I probably should have used a very detailed sketch. It would have gone a lot easier. And that's what I do when I'm working traditionally. So I'm trying to put in some hay, and I'm just playing around with all the different watercolor brushes here, trying to get an idea of what they do and what they look like and how they react in this program. Like I said, I've used the ArtRage for Windows a lot and used the watercolors on it, but I'm trying to get a little bit of an idea on what they do on ArtRage for Android. And so I'm trying to get them to blend right here. I'm putting in different colors, some browns, yellow ochreish colors, a little bit of light tan colors, just trying to get an idea of what the colors are in the hay. And so I'm doing really rough strokes, putting in rough strokes, trying to get the idea of a texture for this background and make it look like hay. And if you're following along traditionally, use your flat wash brush, and it's going to be a whole lot easier, I suspect, because of the limitations on Android tablets, and that means like the computing speed and all that, they can't make real big brushes for ArtRage for Android. So you have to do small strokes, and so it takes some time to actually get the backgrounds done. And so that's what I'm trying to do here, is just get the background done with the hay right here. And I'm using several different kinds of blenders. Again, I'm just trying to figure out which ones work the best. So I'm trying a whole bunch of different ones. And as you can see, different blenders will give you different effects. You can also go in and change your layers if you want to. They do have different layer blending modes. And so I'm just trying to get kind of the texture of the hay. And then I'm throwing in different colors, different yellows and light colors, and even some darker browns and some oranges, just the different colors that you can see in this photo reference. And I got the photo reference from Pixabay.com, where they have royalty-free photos that you can use for references. And then I'm just kind of trying to blend this all in and get the look of watercolor. And it was actually a little bit harder than I thought on this app. I guess I'm used to ArtRage for the PC for Windows, and it doesn't seem to be quite that hard, but for this one I kind of struggled a little bit, and I guess it was just trying to find the right combination of brushes and blending brushes here. And I would also tell you to save frequently, because this app does crash occasionally and you lose your work. And so I was trying a little bit of the palette knife just to see what it gave, and it gave kind of a sharp edge, so I like that because it gives a straw look to the hay. And then I tried some frosted spots and blurred frosting and all different kinds, just trying to get all this blended together and get it to look like real watercolor. And so I just worked around on the different spots of the hay and tried to blend it all together. Again, it'd be a lot easier if you're using traditional watercolors. Just float a bunch of colors on, and you can even dry brush over it a little bit if you want to, and use as big a brush as you want to when you're doing this traditionally. And you can use probably a flat wash brush would work well. And then here I'm trying to get a little bit of some detail, like the hay right there, just trying to get some idea of a texture going here, and using kind of a dark brown color and real rough strokes here, just trying to get the look of hay here. And so I'm using all different kinds of the watercolor brushes again, and trying to get a dark spot there in the corner so that looks like it's the end of the hay right there, and it's kind of dark up against, it was actually up against a wagon, but I didn't want to really show that detail because it wasn't important for this painting. We want to focus mostly on the kitten and the pumpkins. So here I was trying to get a texture for the grass, and you can add a green color to it. I don't know, it depends on what brand of watercolor you use for the names. They change the names using different brands, but you want some light greens, you want to throw in some oranges, throw in a little bit darker greens. You might even throw in a little bit of purple if you like. And I was just trying to get kind of a grass-like texture, so I was doing sort of jagged up and down strokes and just kind of trying to blend them in and just get them worked around where the pumpkins were. And then the blending, I used the blending modes to try to get the watercolor look again. And you could probably just use your flat wash brush if you're doing this traditionally. And so I'm just kind of working at it, trying to get that watercolor look here. And so that means I'm blurring some of the edges and not leaving real sharp edges here. Just want things to look kind of soft, and then I can add more detail when I start doing the inks. And here I decided that I needed a place for the cat, and what I should have done was draw it in better and just paint around it. That would have been so much easier, but I didn't do that. So I lifted out some of the paint with the blending brushes, and you can also do that if you're doing that traditionally, but I would recommend just draw it out first because it's a lot easier. Then I started working on the pumpkin, putting orange on the pumpkin, trying to add in some yellows, just some different colors, and you can even throw in a little bit of green if you want to, but mostly add in some yellows and oranges, and just kind of working around the shapes, and then I'm putting a little bit of dark brown on the top there, and that'll be the opening where the kitten is. And then I'm just using the blending brushes again to try to get that watercolor look. And hard wet blenders seem to work pretty good, and I started using it mostly to try to get the look of watercolor there. And so I was also using heavy bleed and delicate on dry, just several different kinds of brushes. I tried the unclean brush. That one worked pretty well for that. And so I just am throwing in some darker orange colors for the pumpkin. The pumpkin's going to have several different colors of orange, kind of. You want them to all have a orange base, but you can make them darker or lighter, and just go ahead and work at it. Again, since the brushes are so small, it takes a lot longer to do this. I could use the paint bucket, but it won't give you that watercolor look, which is what I was after here. And then I'm adding some more yellow to the other one, and just trying to get the different colors of the pumpkin on it, and refining the mouth a little bit and all the features of the pumpkin. And I'm using a dark brown for the inside of the pumpkin to show the cutout features of it. And just go ahead and keep working on that, and I'm keeping it soft so that it looks real blended right there, and just kind of refining the edge of the pumpkin. Again, I regret that I didn't do a more detailed drawing for this. And then again, save, because if you don't save, you'll lose work, and it crashed on me and I lost work. So always save. Okay, this is the end of part 1 of Cutie Boots in a Pumpkin. And in part 2, we're going to work more on the pumpkins and add in the kitten. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. And I will catch you later.